Hi everyone, what's up? Chelsea fans, I hope you're all feeling good. This is Xavier Mbuyamba, and you're listening to the Blue Day podcast. Enjoy.
Welcome back, my friends, to the podcast will never end. Yes, this is the Blue Day podcast, and for Chelsea fans across the world, every day is a Blue Day. I am your host, the creator, the man with a face for this podcast, Keith Lawrence, and joining me again this week is one happy Chelsea fan. He's a man who probably was listening to The Liquidator and One Step Beyond on Wednesday night. He is your friend and mine. It's Steve Wicks. Steve, nice to see you again. How are we?
Yeah, I'm great, Keith. It's been a good week. Been a great week.
Great week for a Chelsea supporter. We don't get to the final often, so we should enjoy it for once.
Absolutely. Well, we got there once before, twice before.
We've got there twice before, but it has been a while.
And I think we hold the records for semi-finals as well. So I think we're up there.
Yes, we do. Yes. Yes.
But that was no mean feat the other night. I thought Chelsea were absolutely superb. I thought they played really well, and the game plan worked perfectly against Real Madrid.
Well, let's start with that, because we mentioned sort of off air about Real Madrid's tactics, and we mentioned sort of before a first leg about how they played free at the back and it didn't work. I was astonished that they played free at the back again. I just thought that after how Chelsea played brilliantly against them at their place, they looked very weak playing free at the back. To play free at the back again with having Vincenzo Jr. playing as a wing-back just caused massive problems for them, and we just exploited that. And again, we should look at it from our point of view. I thought every man in that squad, even the subs that came on, were outstanding.
Yeah, I think there's a belief, and you've got to put it down to the manager. He's created, but that comes with results. But what I liked about it, they had a big hiccup against West Brom, and got straight back on the rails again. And since then, they've been absolutely brilliant. And I think that's a sign of a good manager, is when he does that. And I think his tactics and the way he set the team out, I think was absolutely perfect. And he's done that. If you look at it, he's played against Klopp, he's played against Pep. All these great managers, and I don't think he's lost a game against
he hasn't lost. No.
And it's incredible. Sort of the bigger the game, the more influence he has. It seems
tactically going into that, because a lot of people were wondering how Chelsea would set up. Would we perhaps be more possession based? Would we have to go for it and get a goal? I looked at it before the game and I thought we need at least one goal. We can't go into it thinking we can keep a clean sheet because we've kept so many in the past. We did have to try and win the game. And I was a bit fearful of Real Madrid because I knew that they weren't going to be as bad as they were in the first leg. But my goodness, how wrong was I? And when you look at that Real Madrid side, we mentioned it before we came on, that's one of the worst Real Madrid teams I've seen for a long, long time. They had nobody that could stand out and take the game by the scruff of the neck. Someone like a Figo, a Zidane. Even before that, in Michael Laudrup, for example, they had nobody. Benzema was isolated. Hazard, I'm not going to knock him. I think he's been one of the great players for Chelsea in the past 10 to 15 years. He's not the same player.
No.
And we've definitely caught Real Madrid on a good day. And I did say this sort of months ago. I didn't fear Real Madrid. And I remember two of my brothers were laughing at me thinking, yeah, all right, this is Real Madrid. I have every confidence in the Chelsea team that we would beat Real Madrid because of the midfield factor. When you look at someone like Modric and Kroos, where's their pace? Casemiro's a good player, but he's not one that's he can break up play, but he's not going to create it. And I just looked at our midfield and the way Kante has been. I mean, he's been Kante of old this season, definitely. And Mount, who, if he's not given player of the season and young player of the season, it's a crime. With him being in top form, I thought 2 games against Real Madrid and we bossed the midfield in both games.
Yeah, I agree, Keith. I think Kante, he's the best in the world when he's fit. He's the best in the world. So you've got a world-class player who's coming back to form. And in the game against Man City, he was outstanding in the semi-final. To me, that was the game that signalled that he was back. But he was absolutely unbelievable. I think probably he was man of the match the other night because he does the hard yards. He does he's such a good player to have in your team. I thought he was absolutely superb the other night.
Want to give a special mention as well that I think we should because he does deserve credit after the other night is Timo Werner. Now, people kept mentioning to me that he's only scored, I think, 2 in 32 games or something ridiculous stat like that. But he gets in the box, he has chances, and he's there to create for his teammates. I thought, again, Wednesday, he was there when it mattered. And maybe that could be his Torres moment, where, when Torres did what he did in 2012, and Werner's now having a similar patch to him was what happened back in 2012. But that goal, although it was pretty much on the goal line, that could be the goal to springboard his progression at Chelsea. And that knowing that he's not going to be a one-season wonder, that he's not going to be a flop, that he can be the one that can play in Champions League finals and cup finals. He's that there's too much quality in him not to show it.
Yeah, I agree with that, Keith. I think, if anybody doubts him about scoring goals, there's a film of him on YouTube with all his goals from Leipzig. And my God, they are unbelievable goals. They are absolutely fantastic. Now, he's young. He's come to a different country. He's found it hard to, as I said to you before, sometimes it takes a long time for very good players to settle in this country. Very few hit the ground running. The only one that I can think of is Fernandes at Man United. He's had no problems, but a lot of players find it hard to get used to the game, the Premier League. Now, he's had to get used to it, playing 3 games a week. And it's full on. And I don't think you can evaluate any player after this season. This has been the hardest physical season for, I think, players have ever experienced. Now, the thing I like about him, if he's having a bad time or he's missed a chance, he keeps going. He keeps going. He will keep running. He's very unselfish in front of goal. He's made a lot of goals, and he stretches teams the other way, which is so important. And he's looking to get in behind, and he's important. Now, if he can just put that one thing, and it's a big thing, it's not a little thing. Scoring goals is hard, but if he puts that right, then he'd be a real asset to the club.
And I think how he combines with his teammates recently has been effective. Kai Havertz looks a different player now. All right, okay, he scored 2 against Fulham, and Fulham are not having the greatest of seasons, but it's the position of where both players are, where they see each other on the pitch and how they combine and contribute to their teammates' play. Werner and Havertz, they hasn't done it consistently this season, but come on, as you say, we're in a global pandemic here. But I think next season, or even the end of this season, we could possibly see the best of Kai Havertz and Timo Werner. And even the likes of Christian Pulisic, who I think, there is a player there. They're absolutely 100% feel that there is a player there. But again, injuries and lack of form. He hasn't scored many goals for me, for my personal opinion. But we've got something that Real Madrid didn't have, and that was pace in attack.
Yeah. And
I
agree.
thought that what has been the difference in the two games. Madrid, they might have had the experience, they might have had the know-how, but we just showed sheer bloody mindedness and pace.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing that I think, watching the other semi-final as well, Foden was absolutely magnificent that day, and Mason had a great game the other day. And when people
Mason
say
Mount, absolutely, yes.
When people talk about youngsters, sometimes it works the other way. Sometimes youngsters don't have any fear. They don't fear anything. And I think there's two examples there of young players that have real belief in themselves, actually think they should be on the pitch in the Champions League semi-final, and are prepared to show the world what good players they are. And I think they embrace it rather than fear it. And I think that's a great thing, because those two boys are going to be so vital in England's attempt to win the Euro. They're going to be. But what I like about the Chelsea situation is, look, I'm looking at so many teams, and I hear about Neymar, and I hear about these players, what fantastic players they are. But you know what? These boys are going places. And who's to say what Mason's going to be like in 6 years' time when he's 28? 6 years' time when he's and Foden in, I don't know, 7 years' time. The future of our game and the England future is really quite phenomenal. It really is. And what's great about the Chelsea team is they're young. They're a young, hungry team. And sometimes in adversity, you get even more together. And it seems to me that Chelsea have gone through a little bit of adversity, but they've come out stronger and more together. And I think that's a great tribute to everyone. I'd just like to say something as well, which is really important to me, is Tuchel's done really well, right? He's done magnificent. But I don't think anyone should forget that it was Frank that left him his tools where he's done brilliant. But it was there, and a lot of praise has got to go to Frank Lampard for bringing those players in.
100% wholeheartedly agree. I think Joe Cole may have mentioned it on BT Sport as well, that, this Frank, and I believe Glenn Hoddle actually said it in commentary, Frank Lampard was the one that this all started from. The fact that he gave Mason Mount his break. He gave Reece James a chance when, with all due respect, managers before Frank probably would have gone to Italy and Spain and said, right, we'll give you 50 million for your fullback. We've got Reece James here, who is now one of the best right backs in the country. He's got some competition ahead of him, the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold and Kyle Walker, but Reece James is a fabulous player. And again, Steve, I agree with you, but we've got a great core of players with desire, and the ones that are not at the club but who are out on loan but have got potential to come back. The likes of Conor Gallagher, who's at West Brom, who's doing very well, albeit West Brom are in the bottom three. He's having a good season. Players like that, there is an avenue for them to go into the first team. Look at Mason Mount. A few years ago, he was playing in the Dutch league.
Yes, yeah.
And now look, he's in a Champions League final. And I just want to sort of touch a point with Phil Foden. I know, although he's not Chelsea related, but this is sort of an England topic. I will be astounded if, and all right, albeit Southgate knows more about the England team than I do, but if it was me, doesn't matter how many other players their caps of how many they've had or how many trophies they've had. My midfield three for the Euros and even in the World Cup in 2 years' time will be Rice, Mount, and Foden.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
I totally agree, and and I think, as I said, we created players in this country that could carry a piano, but there were very few that could play the piano. Now we're creating. We've got 5 or 6. You had Grealish, Maddison, all these players, Foden. They are footballers of the height. They can pick things out. That they are very talented, and I think the future for Chelsea and England is a very, very bright one. And I think we can go. We've played the best that France has played out. We've played the best that Spain can put out, and also the other thing is, people say about Paris Saint-Germain, they knocked out Bayern Munich. And we, our English teams are beating the best. So what we got to do is make sure we take that with the England team, because it's important to all. We're all Chelsea fans, but we should all be England fans. And
we want England to do well.
Yeah, God, I'd like to be in Hyde Park when England win the World Cup, because when we get to a semi-final, it's incredible. Let alone if we won the final, it'd be incredible feeling for the country, and I think that's a great thing to have.
Definitely. One note I'd like to mention about Thomas Tuchel as well, and I have mentioned on the podcast before that at the time of Frank sacking and Tuchel came in, I was very, very against it at the time. I didn't feel that Tuchel was the right man for the job. I did brandish him the caretaker because I thought 18-month deal, he's not going to be there long, and he's definitely not going to be there for 18 months. Hey, if he wins the FA Cup and Champions League, then fine, I will hold my hands up, be a man and say I was wrong. But because of the success that Tuchel is having at this moment in time, and because the fact that he's only got 18-month contract when he came in January, if you did win the FA Cup and the Champions League and we got 4th place, would you give him another contract knowing that the wheels may come off later down the line, and then you've got an added problem of paying him off 2 years left on his contract, for example? Or would you keep the 18-month deal, see how it goes, and maybe negotiate it within 12 to 6 months?
That's a good question, actually. I think I'd leave it as it was, and then I'd negotiate 3 months into an ideal example. Arteta. This time last year,
I wish you wouldn't mention Arsenal on this podcast.
He won what I'm saying is he won the FA Cup. Now
that's true.
And everyone's over the moon. They would have offered him another contract. Now where would they be? It's like Mourinho. Chelsea know how to handle. If you've had Mourinho twice, you know how to handle managers, and I think Roman will know how to handle. And also, let's see how it all pans out. Because but no, I think I'd leave it as it was, and 3 months into the season, if Chelsea are playing well, and then I'd offer him the big one, the big contract.
My biggest issue thinking about that is what happened to Di Matteo nearly 10 years ago. All right, be it he was only on a caretaker basis at the time, but he wins the Champions League. We give him a new contract, 2-3 year contract. Everything's going well the first 2 months of the season. Then the wheels start panning off a little bit. The league season sort of starts dwindling a little bit. Our Champions League progress isn't great, and then he's gone. Well,
yeah.
You give him that contract. The fans are 1,000% behind Di Matteo at that time, because I know I was there. I was there for most of the home matches that time from August to when he was sacked. I was there pretty much all the time because the atmosphere was so electric. The fact that Di Matteo, albeit he's Italian, he was one of our own. He was there before Roman as a player. So we, saw him as one of us, was manager, won us the Champions League. My fear is, when looking at it, and again, this is being pessimistic, I know, but if Tuchel does win the Champions League and we perhaps don't start the league well next season, we'd maybe do something like an Arsenal, whereby they're 9th, 10th, we'll end up getting rid of him within 6 months. And you're thinking, you've given this guy, so it's the same with Frank. You've given him all this money. You've given him the tools to play with. That don't work. Well, we'll get rid of him.
But Keith, that is.
I know that's football. But
even more. That's Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea Football Club are ruthless. They are ruthless. What you achieved, I always say that as a manager, you can be out of Chelsea in 3 months. No matter what you've achieved, if you've won the Champions League and you've won the FA Cup, and if that all happens, 3 months into the season, if we have a bad start to the season, that's all forgotten.
Yeah,
and that's the beast.
That's my point. That's the whole point of it. That's why I'm thinking, if he's got 18 months, if we've given him an 18-month contract in January, should we then give him a new deal if he wins the Champions League? In my opinion, I wouldn't, because of things that we've just discussed.
No, I think the thing with Tico is the fact that he's had real hard times in his managers where he's gone head to head with the board. He's caused major problems in Paris Saint-Germain. There was a major problem between him and the owners because he wasn't given the money and he threw his toys out of the pram, and it was all.
He caused headaches at Dortmund as well. Yeah.
And the hard thing might be having to deal with him when he's had success. When he can turn around to Roman and say, "Look, you asked me to come here. I've won the Champions League. I've done this. I've done that." That might be the time where that will be hard. So I think we're still learning about Chelsea, not we, but the Chelsea are still learning about him, and he's still learning about Chelsea. But the one thing that's quite good is he came into this job knowing exactly what Chelsea were all about, knowing how ruthless Chelsea could be, because he replaced someone that was a hero, and they were about as ruthless and as cutthroat handling that situation. The thing that hurt me about the Frank situation was the fact they sacked Frank. It's their prerogative. But what upset me is they had him in the next day, which tells me that was going on for quite a long time. And that's what upset me about the whole thing. They didn't give Frank the respect that he'd earned over a period of time where he'd given his heart and soul to Chelsea Football Club.
All-time top goal scorer.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like.
Yeah. Interesting you sort of mentioned about when we talk about managers and players, it'll be interesting who Tuchel wants to bring in the summer, if he's given that option about bringing in certain players, and depending if we win the Champions League or not, we're not sort of getting ahead of ourselves. Man City are going to be a tough team in the Champions League final. So if we do win it, I'm fantastic. But we look at the summer in regards to the transfers, and all right, we're still in a sort of COVID sort of world at the moment, and transfer fees I can't see them being 150, 160 million pounds for a player. I just can't see it, which is probably one of the reasons why Dortmund have said someone wants to buy Haaland for 150. There you go. Because no team in their right mind's going to want to pay 150 million at this moment in time. But one player that's sort of made the news a little bit in the transfer world has been Jadon Sancho. Now, he was at Manchester City as a kid. I haven't sort of seen him in a Chelsea shirt when he was youngster, but there was talk and has been talk of him being a Chelsea fan. Steve, would you sort of look at that potential avenue? The fact that we've got sort of wide players as well, and even the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi was, still at the club. Would you look at someone like Jadon Sancho as a marquee impact? Bang, we'll bring him in, because we're going to now go for the Premier League. What would you do? Say if you won the Champions League, for example, you've been given God knows how many millions of pounds of money. What would you do? Would you look at an impact signing, or would you look at more of the future and maybe players that are not world-class yet, but potentially could be?
Well, Keith, I'll tell you what. I'll make it easy. We look at the two Real Madrid games, right? We were sweating there. in the second leg, we were sweating there because we were only a goal up. When we should have come away from Madrid with a 3-1 win, and we should have won. I think the other night with the chances, I think Glenn Hoddle said it. He was looking at 5, 6, 7 goals that Chelsea should have had. So my big signing would be someone that is going to score 20, 25 goals a season. And we need that front player. We need that number 9. Werner can play wide. Other players in the squad can play wide. We've got to get a 9 that's going to put those 20, 30 goals away a season. Now, whether it be Harry Kane or whether it be Haaland, you know, we could be negotiating as champions of Europe at a time where the Real Madrid and Barcelona can't spend their money because they haven't got any. So we've got to make hay while the sun shines. We got to get the players that we can get now, and we can put players into the deal that can make that better for us. And Dortmund are like English players, and there's a few players we could put into the deal to make that happen. And if we had a player that scored, you know, between 25 and 30 goals a season, then we could challenge City. We could, but they will be one of the people going in for Haaland.
When you mention about Dortmund liking English players, put it another way then. If the option was there to sign Haaland wanted to join the European champions, and we was given that option to sign him, would you say, right, we'll give you this amount, but we'll throw in someone like a Hudson-Odoi into the deal? Would you agree to that?
Yeah, I would, because him and Tammy, I'd put them into the deal.
Right.
And I'd offer 110 million. And I think they'd like that because they've got their striker. They've replaced their striker in one hit. They've made a shed loads of money, and they've got 2 very talented young players. And that would suit them because all they want to do is play first-team football. And I think it's been very evident that they don't have a future at Chelsea at the moment. But that can change. But that's what I could see happening. And I think,
interesting.
Listen, I think those 2 players are very talented young players, and they're going to be no good sitting on their backsides every Saturday at all. It's not going to do them any good at all. You know, Tammy was capped for England, and he's not playing football, and his whole career over the last 3 months has ground to a halt. Now he owes it to himself to push on. I hear that Aston Villa might sign him. I hear that Leicester are quite interested in him. But you know, it's important. But you know, will he jump at the chance to go to Dortmund? It's a big club. He'll be playing in the Champions League next season. You know, it could be a good move for both.
Absolutely. We shall see when it comes to the summer, albeit if we do win the Champions League, if we don't, and what Thomas Tuchel has up his sleeve in regards to players coming in and out. And even when you look at players that are linked with a move away, you know, there are quite a few. But hopefully, you know, we'll see what happens. But as you say, we do need a number 9. We do need a focal point up top, because I watched the game on BT Sport, the amount of chances we had. And I made a comment to a friend of mine who did find it funny. And at the time, I didn't sort of say it as a joke. I was actually serious. And it was the fact that if our players took the same amount of shots as they did at goal to John Lennon, he'd be alive today. Because there was just so many great chances. And again, we could have won. We could have beaten Real Madrid 5-6-0. They were gone. The legs were gone on that team. We had the passion, we had the drive, we had the pace, and we had the sheer intelligence to beat them. Steve, we should actually also mention To sort of a changing of the subject a little bit, we should actually mention that Chelsea men are not the only team to be in a European final this season. We should actually make a comment on this. The Chelsea women are in the Champions League final as well for the women's setup. Emma Hayes, my goodness, fantastic job that she has done. And it's a fantastic story, really, that Chelsea women, who are one of the best in the country, could now potentially be the best in Europe. What a fantastic job. Not just Emma Hayes. I'm also talking about the people behind the scenes with Chelsea women, the ones that have promoted that particular club to the country and has made Chelsea women what it is. Fantastic effort by everyone associated with Chelsea women. And my goodness, that would be fantastic for the men and women's side to win their respective European Cups.
Yeah, I think it would be a fantastic double, wouldn't it, Keith? It would, because the way they've grown and the way they developed, the girls, they played unbelievable against Bayern Munich. The goals were great. They played well. They played with passion. They played with fight. And it's lovely to watch. What I like about the women's game is there's no diving about or rolling about or they have been a credit. And mind you, they've got their a hell of a task against Barcelona. They are a very, very good side. But listen, I wish them the best, and I'm sure they will cause Barcelona problems.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree, and they've got a great chance to win the league as well. And women's football is changing, whether certain dinosaurs like it or not. Women's football is getting better as the year sort of goes on, and I think this potential success that not just Chelsea women but Chelsea Football Club as a whole could achieve will massively promote women's football and make a statement that women's football is not just a pastime; it's here to stay. And
I think it is here to stay. And
good luck to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've done absolutely brilliant. And and the coach has done a fantastic job. And she's the sort of person, when you see her and she talks, you can understand why those girls play for her and give her everything. You can see that because she looks a class individual, and I'm so pleased for them all. I really am.
Well, Emma Hayes did an interview on BT Sport. She was interviewed after the game the weekend, and I didn't see the whole game, but I saw the end of it and I saw the interview, and the interview was outstanding because when they were asking her the questions, she wasn't just thinking about it and saying it. It came from the heart. Everything came from there. It wasn't something she thought about during the game and then what she'll say. She pretty much said how she felt. She did swear a couple of times, which fair play. She didn't apologise. BT had to, but she didn't. But for me, she showed more passion in that interview than I've seen many, many male football managers show in post-match interviews, which I think just goes to show what kind of passionate coach she is. And as you say, the women would run through brick walls for her.
Yeah. I think also, Keith, we talked about that the women don't dive or roll about as if they've been shot, but also it's more pure when someone interviews a coach like Emma, she will just say as it is. Every time you interview a player or a manager, they're very guarded these days. They're very scared to say something wrong. They're very guarded, and it's and then most of them say the same thing, but in different ways. So it very guarded. And what is nice about the women's game, it's a pure product, and I will be watching that game and cheering them on, with my fingers crossed, hoping that they're a hell of a task. Hell of a task.
We will be watching it as well, most definitely, and we will also be hopefully keeping up to date with news and notes of who's going to be playing and obviously the game. But good luck to Emma Hayes and everybody associated with Chelsea Women. They've done absolutely fantastic. Before we finish, Steve, we've just got a couple of more bits that I wanted to sort of mention to you about. Good luck to everyone who is able to get a ticket for the last home game of the season against Leicester City, I believe, on the 18th or 19th of May. The tickets went on sale today. I think they're going to be on sale for the next couple of days, but it's to loyalty points. So if you're just a member and haven't got a season ticket, you're in no luck, and there's no way you're going to get a ticket. I unfortunately will not be going, as I've got a few projects I've got to sort out, which all will be revealed in the next coming months. I have a potential meetings planned, so that will be revealed in the next coming months. So I'm afraid I won't be able to make that potential week. And good luck for those that have received FA Cup final tickets or who are going to get FA Cup final tickets. Steve, I've come to talk about the FA Cup final, and it's going to be at Wembley, the 15th of May. Fantastic occasion, albeit it's not as the razzmatazz as it used to be. It's not 3:00 anymore, it's 5:30, and we don't see the pre-match as much as we used to, whereby you used to see players eat. You used to find out what they used to have for breakfast and see them get on the coach and listen to like the FA Cup their FA Cup final song for hours on end. We don't get that anymore. But the news is coming out this week that a few Chelsea fans, and in fact the Chelsea Supporters Trust, who I'm a member of, are not happy with, is the amount of tickets that are allocated to the fans compared to the ones that are allocated to corporate and the ones that are living in the Brent area and the key workers. Steve, I just want to get your thoughts on this, if I can. Let me just bring this up for us. Bear with me. Right, the FA Cup final 2021 will be played in front of 22,000 spectators. Each club will only be given 6,250 tickets, which is 12,500 in total. The remaining 9,500 tickets will be distributed to residents in the Brent area of London, key workers, FA affiliates, partners and sponsors. Only 57% of the tickets have been allocated to supporters in total. Now, I want to get your thoughts on this just to sort of start off with, because I know I'll mention mine in a minute, but the fact that we have to sort of stress that the FA and with Wembley, there is a certain allocation that is always given to sponsors, is always given to corporate members and people, charities, for example. They are given certain amount of tickets for the final, and even people within the television business like Sky and BT, they are given a certain amount of tickets. But Steve, I just want to get your thoughts as a Chelsea fan and somebody who loves the FA Cup, and the fact that FA Cup should be for the fans. The fact that there's only that certain amount of fans that can go.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I key workers, I haven't got a problem with. I really haven't got a problem with. They've been fantastic through this pandemic, and I've got nothing but respect. And they deserve a day out. And if they want to go to football and watch Chelsea, fantastic, and Leicester. But it's always been the problem. Those are the empty seats when the second half starts, and there's empty seats in the stands. Those are the corporates eating their prawn sandwiches and drinking their, champagne and wine and everything. That has been a problem from day one. That's never going to change, Keith. And, they've got to sort it out. And they keep saying they're going to sort it out, but it won't. The corporate side of football is here to stay. It's here to stay. And it's a shame that there's only, did you say 6,000? Was it 6,000?
Apologies for the pause. Each club will only be given 6,250 tickets.
Listen, as I said, it's never going to change. But the 6,000 people especially the Chelsea ones, have got to prove what great supporters we are and make one hell of a noise for the boys because 6,000 people after playing in, or 22,000 people, whatever it is, after playing in an empty stadiums week in, week out, be a fantastic boost for them. So I'm sure the Chelsea fans will make themselves heard. And we can win I don't mean this battle when I say battle, that against the Leicester fans on how loud we can be, and we'll beat them.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on it. Sorry, Steve.
I'll just change the subject a little bit. I can't believe that they're taking the Champions League final to Turkey. I'm just absolutely gobsmacked about that.
Well, let's talk about that because Turkey, as far as I'm aware, are in the red zone in regards to where to go around the world with COVID. Turkey is one of the worst hit countries in Europe. UEFA have not budged on their stance in regards to having the game still in Turkey. The last I heard that was any developments or progression on it was that Villa Park has put their hands up. Aston Villa have put their hands up and said, we'll host it, as there is only two, there's two English teams in the final. Why have them travel across Europe? Why have the fans travel across Europe? Have it in this country? I don't see a problem with that. I think in the extraordinary times that we're living in, I don't see it as a problem to have it in this country. Have it in Istanbul next year when things are probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be better for everybody, not just English fans, not just people in Turkey, but every single person. Steve, your thoughts on that, because this is quite a sensitive subject to some.
Well, take the football out of it, right? And you've got 8,000 supporters going into a place that has one of the biggest R readings in Europe. They are now in total lockdown. Why are we putting not only our supporters, but when they arrive back, families at risk, when all they've got to do is to play it, halfway between London and Manchester, Villa Park? You could probably get a bigger crowd than what they're going to have at Istanbul. I find it sometimes common sense just goes out the door sometimes with the, to me, it's a no-brainer. The travel that the supporters have got to do, they don't know even if they can travel to Turkey. What have they got to do? Have a test that's going to cost them 45 quid before they go, and when they arrive, it's going to cost them 120 quid. It just adds on to the thing, and I just think it's unfair. It's unfair, and it's unreasonable and dangerous. All the hard work we've done, we've got 8,000 people going into a total lockdown. It just doesn't make sense.
Absolutely.
And if I was Boris Johnson, I think I'd have something to say about it, really, because everyone has worked so hard to fight this pandemic, and that happened, which is just totally ridiculous.
Well, I think you also have to look at the Euros as well in general, and you have to look at this year, or when they tried to do Euro 2020, they wanted to have them across Europe. They wanted games across Europe to make it more sort of better for teams and better for everyone else. But there was nothing wrong with having a tournament stay in one place.
Yeah.
So what I would do if I was in UEFA's shoes would be, and obviously they can't do it now because it's all been agreed and it's all been signed off, but I would have made sure that if I'm going to have an international tournament that requires travel, stick it in one bloody place and not have it scattered around Europe.
It's just, again, Keith, what it is, it's a money exercise. It's a money make. Let's ask you a question. This is even as, honestly, the best question ever with regard to governing bodies of our football. England make the most unbelievable bid for the World Cup, right? the most unbelievable bid. The stadia, the networks, everything, top notch. And they vote for Qatar. 22 miles long. Don't drink. They don't like a beer. They don't particularly like you having a beer. You're going to get invaded by so many thousands and thousands of people with the World Cup. How on earth can you give it to Qatar? That great footballing world that is Qatar. It is absolutely ridiculous. I think that sums it up. And this Turkey thing, common sense is just not there. It's all about money. And it's in a pandemic, that should be way down the list.
Absolutely. And the fact that when you look at a place like Istanbul, I've never been, partly wouldn't mind going for a football weekend or something along them lines, but you choose a city like Istanbul. With all due respect, Turkish teams in the Champions League don't go far. So if you know that you're expecting a certain team or a certain country to have a representative in the final, why choose Istanbul?
Well, they keep saying, don't they?
You could have chosen London, you could have chosen Madrid, you could have chosen Milan, you could have chosen Rome. Why choose Istanbul?
Well, probably the only thing I can think of is that a Turkish team won't get into the final. So therefore, it's a neutral venue.
Well, that's...
Mind you, having said that, our European Cup final win, Champions League final win, was the greatest ever because we played Bayern Munich in Bayern Munich.
Their own backyard, and we silenced them.
Absolutely. That, to me, was one of the greatest ever victories. To play Bayern Munich in Bayern Munich and beat them. My God, what a great result that was.
Do you think that'll ever happen again? That a team, again, two teams should be playing in a neutral venue, but it's not, and that team ends up winning that tie in the fashion it was, last-minute equaliser, and then going into penalties. Do you think we'll ever see that again?
Well, I didn't see a lot of it. Certainly not the penalties, because I hate what I've been brought up on penalty shootout disasters all my life, and when that went to penalties, oh my God, that was, especially with what we experienced in our previous European Cup Champions League final. But my God, what a fantastic result! What a fantastic night that was, and that will stay with me forever. That was just absolutely brilliant.
Well, let's just hope that May 2021 we're celebrating another Champions League final. That'll be fantastic for everyone involved with Chelsea Football Club. We are coming to the end of the episode now, but there's a couple of plugs that I would like to mention to start off with before we do say adios. We've got a few interviews coming up this month to celebrate the anniversary of the Cup Winners' Cup triumph against Real Madrid. Quite ironic, actually, this week. We've got a couple of player interviews coming up this month. 2 have already been confirmed. We are looking to do a couple more. They will be announced in due course. So as you are hearing this today, we have the interview of Derek Smedhurst, which is out, for example, this week. And that is a fabulous interview. I do urge everybody who likes their football, and in fact, it's not just a footballer's story; it's a sportsman's story about how a guy from South Africa comes to England, tries to make a name for himself, and has the pleasure of eating a wimpy with Chelsea players. That is a story that I can honestly say, please listen to it. It is fascinating. So that's Derek Smedhurst, who was part of the team that won the 1971 Cup Winners' Cup final. Next week, on the 14th of May, the episode with a true Chelsea icon, one that I feel should be talked about more in regards to the all-time great midfielders of Chelsea in Alan Hudson. Fabulous individual, fabulous player in his day. That interview will be out on the 14th of May. And then hopefully between then and the end of May, we will have a few more interviews coming up. But also we will be posting some items on our Instagram page and also on Facebook of certain pictures from that particular time. In regards to next week, we've got, of course, Chelsea against Manchester City in the league. We've also got Chelsea against Arsenal. So massive games coming up, Steve, to end the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's full on, isn't it? We got you got those two games. You got the FA Cup. You got the Champions League. Big games. But as a player, you want to play in those games.
Hopefully next time that we are here, hopefully we'll be talking about another win against Manchester City and certainly a decent win against Arsenal. That'll be the plan. But if you do wish to find the Blue Day podcast more, if you definitely liked what you've heard, find us on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify as well. We are on YouTube. So listen to us, watch us at your leisure, watch us as much as you want, and you can find it anywhere where you can find your favourite podcasts. Fellow Chelsea supporters, I've been Keith Lawrence. He's been Steve Wicks. Take care and carefree.
Cheers, everyone. See you later.
Chelsea!
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.